Post-game show, live from MetLife Stadium, live from my car. What a disaster. What an absolute disaster. I don't know if I should just scream and yell or if I should just cry. I don't know how to feel doing this post-game show from my car outside our crappy stadium here in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Like, I don't even know what to say. All right? I debated even going live right now because I'm so disgusted by the garbage that we all sat through in the round. And I'm drenched right now. If I have pneumonia, you know why. Because I had to watch Zach Wilson play quarterback for my football team. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. This was terrible tonight. Terrible. All the way around, terrible. But we start with the quarterback. All right, I'm going to get into it. We'll take your calls. I'm sure the Zach truthers will try and make excuses for Zach Wilson. Enough. He sucked. He was god-awful. And tonight was Zach Wilson's last start as the Jet quarterback ever. Barring injury, he's done. I'm sorry. I hate saying it. It's not personal. He seems like a nice kid. He's not the answer. He's not. Every quarterback that has operated this offense, now including Chris Strebler, who was in the CFL 2 years ago, has operated this offense better than Zach Wilson has. I mean, the numbers tonight are a joke. And watching it in person, it was even worse. 9 of 18 for 92 yards. You want to throw out the interception on the last play before the half? Okay, great. But it is absolutely amazing that the moment any quarterback other than Zach comes in, the offense improves. All right? Strebler coming in doing what he's doing? I mean, come on, man. This is pathetic. Pathetic. And we're not asking Zach Wilson to be great. But he's not the guy. And you know what's depressing? You know what's depressing as the Jets lose 19-3 at home to fall to 7-8 on the season? We have the answer to our question we had coming in. We said two things about this season. Play meaningful games in December and get an idea of what Zach Wilson is. We got the answer to both. This team played meaningful games in December. They can't win one. They can't win a damn game in December. But we have the answer on the quarterback. He's not the guy. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear any other takeaway from this game. You want to blame the offensive line? Sure, blame them. They were not good tonight. You want to blame the defense? That's the laziest take, and we're not allowing it. The defense allowed 19 points. That's a bad effort. They're on the field the entire game because this quarterback stinks. Stinks. And I like Zach Wilson. I've defended Zach Wilson. I've tried to be patient with Zach Wilson, but it's enough. Zach Wilson truthers, he stinks. The guy is terrible. He stinks. All right? Stop defending him. He's got the lowest passer rating in the NFL this season. The lowest completion percentage in the NFL this season. He had the lowest passer rating in the NFL last season. He had the lowest completion percentage in the NFL last season. He hasn't gotten better. I was patient with Zach because he does have talent. Because he does have potential. But it's not working. It is not working. He is not the guy. This team is too good to be 7-8. All right, this defense had a, quote, bad game. They gave up 19 points. 19. How dare the defense do anything? Come on, man. The quarterback stinks. It pains me to say it. He stinks. Chris Strebler comes in. There's life. The only chance they had, 2 plays in this game. If you want to actually talk about this game. I mean, what's there really to talk about from this game? You know the situation. All right? You want to blame Salah for not going to Strebler at halftime? All right, I'll listen to that. I don't think it would have made a difference. Strebler is limited. We saw it tonight. At least he gave you a spark. It's embarrassing that this offense looks significantly better with a 4th-string quarterback making his NFL debut in 2023, 2022, whatever. Who cares? I'm sorry, man. I'm not going to listen to anything. The defense, solid. It's the quarterback, man. It pains me to say it because sometimes you don't need to really think that hard with your analysis. The quarterback is not the guy. He's not. He's not, and I don't care that Robert Saleh said after the game, we haven't seen the last of Zach Wilson. His actions tell you all you need to know. He benched him for the 2nd time in 3 games for Mike White and Chris Strebler. Saleh knows Zach's not the guy. He knows. When Mike White's healthy 10 days from now, he starts. I don't want to hear play Zach so you can evaluate him. Enough. You scored 3 points. 3 against a bad freaking defense, all right? Enough. Here are Zach Wilson's stats in back-to-back games against the Lions, whose defense is bad, and the Jaguars, whose defense is bad. 27 of 53. For you Zach Wilson truthers, that's 50.9%. 409 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Jets lost both games. He stinks. It's not personal. He just cannot play quarterback for the New York Jets. Not anymore as the starter. You want to talk about him maybe being on the team next year? Maybe I'll listen to that down the line. I can't even fathom that right now. He's not the guy. He has not improved. He has not gotten better. He is the same quarterback we saw last year. I defended him last year because we saw flashes. You see that from rookies. Then they get better. You know who got better? Trevor Lawrence got better. All right, watching some of the throws he made tonight. You know who got better? Justin Fields got better. Zach Wilson hasn't gotten better, period. I'll listen to the stuff about not going to Strebler at halftime. I'll listen to, the offensive line not being great in this game. No running game again. You need your quarterback to make plays. They had 3 points against a Jaguars defense that allows over 23 a game. They're a bottom third defense. You're at home. Your season's on the line. And you scored 3 freaking points. And that's how you cost yourself a chance to go to the playoffs. Enough. Mike White plays when he's healthy. Try and go for a winning season. You owe it to the locker room. You owe it to this fan base. This quarterback is shot. He has no confidence out there. You could see it. He didn't even want to throw the ball downfield late in the first half of this game. And then you start the third quarter, and he's missing Corey Davis wide open. Enough. I'm not dealing with the Zach Wilson truthers. If you're a Zach Wilson truther, you're out. You're not on the show. You're gone. We're not doing it. If your takeaway from this game is not that the quarterback is holding this team back, I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. Seek help. I know I need help because I sat in MetLife, and I'm going to have pneumonia from this garbage. Enough. I'm tired of it, man. This team is too good to be 7-8. They were 6-3. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. They have everything in place besides a franchise quarterback. And I don't know if Mike White's the guy, but I know he gives the team a better chance to win the last 2. And then I'll bring him back, and I'll bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, or I'll beg for Aaron Rodgers to come here, or I'll beg Derek Carr to come here. I don't know, but I do know the answer is not you run it back with Zach Wilson because, Jake, he needs more time. Enough. He's not playing well. He's playing awful right now. And the second any quarterback comes in, the offense magically looks better. Explain that. Oh, but it's Mike LaFleur's fault. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Enough. Yes, there's problems with LaFleur at times. Yes, there's problems with the offensive line. But you know what could be fixed? You could fix the offensive line in the offseason. I could draft a tackle. I could sign a free agent. I'm going to get Barrett Tucker back. I'm going to get Breece Hall back. That's going to make our O-line look a lot better. I don't know if you could fix Zach Wilson. It is too risky to just say, he needs more time. Does he? These are bad defense he's playing against. It's not Bill Belichick. It's not the Bills defense. The Lions defense was 31st in football. The Jacksonville Jaguars defense is 23rd in football. They're not good. You scored 20 total points in those 2 games. I don't want anyone blaming the defense. I'm not listening to it. A bad defensive performance is allowing 19 points to a Jaguars team that just hung 40 on the Cowboys on Sunday. Enough. They lost because of bad quarterback play, inept quarterback play. That's why they lost. Any other take is lazy. I'm sorry. Enough. They benched Zach Wilson tonight and went to a guy that was in the CFL less than 2 years ago. What else do you need to see? And it pains me because I like Zach Wilson, but it hasn't worked. And this roster is too talented to keep throwing him out there. He cost him the Patriot games. He was horrendous tonight. And the saddest part about all this is that Mike White, I truly believe, if he was healthy, they could have won tonight. They could have won it last Sunday. Just brutal. 9 of 18 for 92 yards against a Jaguars defense that stinks. They didn't even try to throw over the middle of the field with Zach. He couldn't get it there. Oh, my God, this was brutal. And shout out to all the Jet fans who showed up tonight. I mean, seriously, shout out to the Jet fans who showed up tonight. MetLife was loud. People were into it. They're waving the towels. I mean, the best moment of the game, it's unfortunate it happened 3 plays in. Thank you, Quinnen Williams, for forcing a turnover. God, did they miss him. And they do nothing with it. And you know what? Let me say this. They really didn't even score 3 points on offense. The defense scored 3 points, and Greg Zuerlein scored 3 points. They inherited a field at the 20-yard line, and they did nothing. They did shit with that opening possession. Excuse my language, but I'm tired of it, man. How much garbage football do we have to watch? We deserve better as a fan base. That was disgusting sitting there tonight, knowing that this team has everything in place besides a quarterback to be a playoff team, and maybe beyond that. They got the third best defense in the NFL. And I got people in my mentions on Twitter blaming the defense who allowed 19 points. Get the you-know-what out of here. You're not blaming the defense. We're not blaming the coaching staff. Ultimately, it's on the second pick in the draft to be competent. If he was just bad tonight, they could have competed in this game. He was horrendous. Oh, my God, that was disgusting. Disgusting. I'm going to open it up to some calls here on the Gus Buster hotline. I mean, save me, callers. I don't even know what to say. I mean, we could scream and yell about a lot of things. We could scream and yell about, the Garrett Wilson fumble at the end. What a great way for the season to end with the best player on the field having, just a brutal turnover. I mean, it comes down to the quarterback. He has not improved, and he's holding the team back. He is holding the team back. Period. I don't know how anyone could watch these games and not have that as your main takeaway. And it sucks because the season's been fun, but it is bitter to go from 6-3 and 7-4 to now they're 7-8. 7-8. This team has too much talent to be 7-8. They have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year, and they're a game under 500. They have an all-pro, first-team all-pro, defensive player of the year candidate in Quentin Williams, and they're one game under 500. How? Because the second pick in the draft has not improved the way they needed him to. He hasn't even just been if he was just Mac Jones this year, they win more games. Oh, my God. Brutal. 3 points at home in a primetime game, and I'm going to get pneumonia from watching that garbage. Oh, my God, do I despise what I watched tonight. And this fan base deserves better. Your call's coming up here. We're going to go as long as my laptop has power, which it's a shitty laptop. Excuse my language. We're at 74% right now. So let's try and get as many calls in as we can. Some super chats as well. Post-game, live from MetLife Stadium, baby. Oh, what a primetime performance by the New York Jets. Richard, you're up first. Start us off, Richard. What's going on?
Man, Jake, I gotta say, I love the passion. I love the energy that you're delivering. And you know what? You're absolutely right. This fan base deserves so much better than what Zach offered. I guess my question here is then what's the plan with Zach? Do you trade him, try to get him try to get something for him? Do you try to, maybe get, a late round pick? Are you going for Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers? I know obviously we can say Mike White and everything like that. And I'm going to be the one to say that at least I did like what I saw from Streveler. He could have done better, but for what it's worth, your fourth string quarterback doesn't look too horrible in this game. A lot of horrible things happened in that game. The one kick, the kick fumble that happened, the backflip kick or whatever, what's his name did to make Garrett Wilson drop the damn ball. I mean, it's just like you can't really catch a break. So what do you do? Where do you go from here?
I'll tell you what, Richard, good call, man. I don't really care what they do with Zach Wilson as long as he's not starting. The only scenario where Zach Wilson is starting for the Jets week 1 is there's a bunch of guys in front of him that got hurt if he's somehow magically on the team. There's no scenario where he starts week 1 next year. I'm sorry. I don't think you come back from a game like this. I don't. I think anyone at this game tonight saw Zach Wilson's last start as a Jet, period. I don't know how else that's the takeaway here. If I'm the Jets, I probably would trade him. Give him a fresh start somewhere else. I don't know if he's coming back from it. And if you want to keep him because he's the second pick in the draft, all right, he's your number 3 quarterback. I'm adding a veteran. I'm bringing in Mike White. I'm adding a veteran. I need to see Mike White play these next 2 games here. I gotta continue to evaluate. I don't want to hear anyone say, well, we got to evaluate Zach. No, you don't. He's at 21 starts in the NFL. He's not the guy. He's not playing better. He's the same exact quarterback. There are flashes of greatness, and then there's what we saw against Detroit, and then there's tonight where he's just totally inept. And, hey, is it Belichick tonight, truthers? Is it Belichick tonight, or is it the quarterback just not good? Answer me that. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. I was going to stroke out watching this game tonight. I was so disgusted with what we saw. Let me keep going with your calls here. Ryan, you're up next on our post-game show. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, I'm sorry that you had to endure that, dude. I admire your passion for the game, and I got a few points I just want to make. First of all, the football gods do love kicking us in the balls, like pun intended, with the fumble. That's number one. Number
You
two,
know, I haven't seen the replay yet, but I know it's gonna be it's gonna be brutal. I already know what's coming.
it is. And number two, I was watching the post game show and they brought it up and they said Zach Wilson, his QBR rating was 41.6, and you had Strevler at 82.4. How do you have a fourth string quarterback that played in the CFL come in and double your QBR rating?
Josh Johnson came in last year, Ryan, and ran this offense well. It's at some point we have to acknowledge that Zach Wilson's just not the guy. He's a nice guy. My attacks are not personal. He's just not the guy for the New York Jets.
And listen, I wanted him to work out. I told you this. You know that. I've supported him. I support the team. So whoever's out there, I'm going to be rooting for him. But you know what? I support the fact that if the Jets go out and go get a guy like Gardner Minshew and, sign Mike White, that's not a problem. I have a problem with going after Garoppolo. I have a problem going after any of these aging quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. It's never worked out. It's a temporary Band-Aid. I don't even care if they bring us to a Super Bowl. Like if we got Aaron Rodgers and he brought us to a Super Bowl, it wouldn't mean as much as doing it with somebody else, because it would be like, oh, well, it was because of the quarterback player. It was because of this person. Like if Brady came in, it would be more about Brady than it would be about the Jets.
I'll tell you what, Ryan. Ryan, thanks for the call, man. I don't care. I do not. You think Bucs fans are upset it was about Brady leaving New England and winning a championship for them? Who gives, respectfully, Ryan, because I'm a big fan of yours. You're a good caller. Respectfully, I don't give an F. All right? Rodgers comes here and helps this team win a Super Bowl. I'll kiss him. I don't care. All right? I do not care. It's about winning. This team is a quarterback away from being a serious contender. So any quarterback that is available, that is an upgrade over Zach Wilson, which is everyone in the league right now, they need to be considered for the Jets, period. Let me riff off some super chats here, and I'll get back to your calls coming up. Felix says, did it look like the team lost energy when Zach couldn't do bleep? I just didn't see that fight in the team today. I don't know, Jake, when Zach's on the team, it just doesn't look energetic. I mean, just after the first incompletion, the crowd started to boo. I knew it was headed this direction. I had an awful feeling about it. When they didn't do anything on that opening drive after the defense got them the ball at the 20-yard line, and they did nothing. They go 3-and-out and kick the field goal. It was a bad sign of what was to come. I had a pit in my stomach when that happened. Heck says, Wilson definitely lost the entire locker room. He's not the guy, folks. I'm sorry. Zach Truthers, he's not the guy. It's not personal. He's a nice kid. I don't wish ill will. He's not the guy. All right? I feel like that meme. You're not that guy, pal. That's unfortunately what we saw. If Mike White's healthy, he plays. If Mike White's not healthy, I play Strebler or Flacco. I can't go back to Zach Wilson. I want a winning season. I do. And if it means I can knock the Dolphins out of the playoffs in Week 18, sign me up for that. If this team is going to blow a playoff spot, which they seemingly did tonight. Jeremiah says, Jordan Love in the offseason, maybe for a second, could be fun. I need someone more proven. Sorry. If you're going to trade a second for Jordan Love, why not bring Mike White back and then try and sign Jimmy G, who's always going to get hurt, and you're going to need Mike White anyway? Or why not go out there and try and trade for Derek Carr? I need a proven guy. This is a championship roster. With one more offseason, a good draft from Douglas, good free agent period, getting Brees and AVT back, year 2 of Sauce, year 2 of Garrett, paying Quinton Williams, who's only 24 years old. This is a championship team. They need a quarterback that can elevate the team, or at least be someone that can elevate in big spots. Space City Med says Mike White's the guy. Mike White's the guy for the last 2 games, assuming he's cleared, which I believe he will. Space City Med says, I told you he's garbage. Don't like the play harder for the 4th string guy. Zachy needs to go somewhere else to have a chance. It's not going to happen here, unfortunately. I'd be shocked if it does. If Zach had a game tonight like he had against the Lions, they maybe would have had a chance tonight. But he regressed dramatically tonight against a defense that stinks. I mean, how do you excuse it? You can't. More of your calls coming up. Let's go to Ken. Ken, you're up next on the postgame show.
How's it going? Listen, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Bob Grant, but I love your rants today. So great job. I'm sorry that you're so upset. We all are. Just so you know, you didn't hear the prime announcers after the game, but Fitzpatrick and Richard Sherman, if you think what you just said about Zach was hard, they were much harder. Just being honest with you. He's a good kid. People like him. He just can't make the decisions. This isn't the team for him. We got to move on. That's just the way it is. However, I'm going to push back on a couple of things today. still coaching and management. Man shanked a punt again today. I know it's an issue you talked about. I've talked about. 20 people talked about. Why is he still on the team? I don't understand. It's so easy to pick up a punter. It's a management problem. Lawson, again, we only gave up 16 or 19 points, but you got to set the edge, Jake. How many times on defense are we letting these quarterbacks go and we're not setting an edge? And so there are little coaching things. I do agree with you. I was watching this with my son, and we're looking at this. We didn't have a chance in this game. No. Zach Wilson gave us zero chance. And, you know, if you look up Strevler, even in the Canadian Football League, his stats weren't great, but he did give us a better chance than Zach. And, you know, there's no excuses. The coaches knew where we were with Zach. You knew where we were. We all knew where we were. We had a chance at the playoffs. It's raining. Maybe we should have started Strevler and said, you know what, we're going to make this a defensive battle. So I got to push back a little bit, saying the coaches still need to do a little bit more. I'm hoping we have the right guys, but I love your passion. Great job today. Love to hear your feedback.
Ken, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you. Look, if you want to get on the coaching for some stuff, I'm with you. Ultimately, the defense allowed 19 points. I can't kill them. I mean, they're on the field the entire game. I'm watching them. I'm like, this is unfair to them. They're on the field the Jaguars have a good offense. Trevor Lawrence has been playing really good football. They allowed 19 points. That should be enough. Should be enough. You want to get on the coaching? Look, you can't start Strevler. He obviously has limitations. We watched it after a little bit. You saw that. And to be fair, they should have had a touchdown on that play to Uzama. He's wide open. Strevler missed him. I mean, that was the moment. That, and then the fourth down call where what the bleep is the ref doing getting in the way? Did they not get boned by the official just wandering in the middle of the play? I'm watching from my seat. I almost passed out. I mean, I had an aneurysm. I thought the Braden Manshank was going to kill me. That killed me with the ref. But, I mean, what does it matter, man? What does it matter? When you're going to Strevler at that point, you're praying. Like, the only criticism I'll say to Salah is maybe you start him in the third quarter. Maybe. I don't think it would have mattered, though. I don't think they would have won. It's enough. It's just brutal. It comes down to the quarterback, man. Tom says Zach and LaFleur both need to go. I disagree. Every time a quarterback comes in that's not Zach Wilson, they play better than Zach Wilson. The offensive coordinator's got to be doing something right. Theo says, it was putrid watching the offense go to work with Zach Wilson. Strevler was fun, but White's clearly QB1. I hope Joe Douglas is able to bring him back. If not, we need a vet. Great meeting you at L5. Theo, great to meet you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Nice to meet all of you guys tonight. Obviously, it was before that debacle. Look, I need to see more from Mike White. I'm not ready to anoint him. He's better. He's light years better than Zach Wilson. I'm sorry. Yeah, but Jake, Zach Wilson can make throws that Mike White dreams of making. You know what Mike White can also do? He could play quarterback at a competent level. Can we start there for the second pick in the draft? Furniture Guy says, same old Jets. Unfortunately, love your show. Thank you, Furniture Guy. Tonight was very same old Jets, but, you know, it was same old Jet quarterback, unfortunately. I'm like just sad, man, because this team is good at every position for the most part, besides the most important position. And unfortunately, the guy that was good at that position was at least competent. I'm not willing to sit here and tell you Mike White's Tom Brady, like some of the people in the fan base want. But he's good. He's solid. And he's hurt. Kills me. JJ, you're up next. Let's try and go rapid fire with some calls here. I want to get in as many as I can. JJ, you're up next. What's up, JJ?
Yo, what's up, Jake? Great meeting you today in the L5 parking lot.
You too, my friend.
Real quick. All right. So I don't want to focus on Zach Wilson right now because we already know that he's a problem and he's terrible. But there's other things that are wrong with this team, and I think we've spent too much time on the quarterback, and then we miss a lot of other things that we're terrible at. I'm not going to kill the defense, but we got to make a stop on third down. Like being on the field all day is not an excuse for 3rd and 17, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And we're just letting the quarterback just run for first downs freely. Like we have to make better adjustments on third down because it's constantly a problem. And one thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but any time that we've tied up a game or we start to get momentum and we're starting to get back in the game, the defense somehow finds a way to just screw it up, right? And that's a reflection on the coaching, the discipline of the coaching, because these guys are making mistakes on defense and then they just stay right on the field. Even again today, early on in the game, I don't know if you remember, but it was a 3rd and 1 play, and CJ Mosley falls for the fake of the run, and his guy runs right past him, and they get an easy first down. And this constantly happens with the defense. That's the first thing. So I still think the coaching needs to still be better. And the second thing is, along with the coaching, it's so stubborn that they should have started Streveler since the beginning of the 3rd quarter, but they just keep believing, keep holding on faith, keep trying to keep with their philosophies and believing, oh, we'll get them the next time. And then it's too late. If they would have put Streveler in at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, we probably had a chance. And then last point that I'll make, I know you hate when I call Mike LaFleur, but one thing I did notice, right? As soon as we got to the red zone, it was just like the play calling just became very dynamic and one-dimensional with Streveler. It was just run. And then he hit Corey Davis right in his chest. Right in his chest on the 3rd down, and Corey Davis drops it. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I thought that the play calling could have been a little bit better when we got to the red zone.
Yeah, look, JJ, good call, man, and nice to meet you tonight as well. All fair. Defense allowed 19 points. Ultimately, the defense allowed 19 points at home. You're playing a Jaguars team that has a really good offense. They allowed 20 in total last week. They allowed only 13, even though they folded late. I'm sorry, man. Like, there's issues with this team. No one's perfect. The biggest issue is quarterback. They scored 3 points at home. They didn't really score 3 points either. The defense and Greg Zuerlein scored 3 points. Zach Wilson did crap on that opening drive. Neither did Streveler, to be fair, when they brought him out there, which made no sense. You want to criticize LaFleur, fine. To me, he's down on the list of the problems, especially tonight. Tonight's on the quarterback. I don't know how else. I don't know how you defend what we saw from the quarterback. You can't do it. Daniel, Super Chat, says, it was cool to see the option working with Streveler. Gives me hope LaFleur could call a game with Lamar. Lamar's not coming here. I appreciate the Super Chat. The Ravens are not idiots. They're not letting him go. They'll franchise him, if anything. BYU Jet fan, who was a Zach Wilson truther, says, sorry, Jake, I was wrong. He's completely broken. It's not personal, and I respect the BYU fans who are loyal to Zach Wilson. But if your takeaway from watching tonight is not that the quarterback is broken, I don't know what to tell you. Bill Fawn writes in, Zach Wilson picked so bad. Joe Douglas, he can't get a pass either. 2 top 10 busts in Zach Wilson and Becton. 2 most important positions. He can't be allowed to draft a high-round quarterback. They're not going to draft a quarterback, Bill. Look, Becton getting hurt is unfortunate. Zach Wilson's a bad look for the general manager. It is. But Joe Douglas has done enough where I still want him to be the guy making the decisions for this team. I do. All right, let's not lose sight of what this roster looks like. All right, they have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year on the team right now. All right, ABT is an all-pro. Breece Hall was on his way to being, a Pro Bowl offensive rookie of the year type of running back. All right, they've gotten contributions from all their draft picks this year. Max Mitchell, Michael Clemens, last year, Elijah Moore. Like, they have a good general manager. Douglas missed on Wilson. It happens. It sucks. It happens. He built up the rest of the team. He did find Mike White. He hired Robert Saleh, which I still think overall is a positive hire. Douglas has done enough to continue to earn the opportunity to build with this team. He has. They're not going to draft the quarterback, though. The starting quarterback for the Jets next year very well is not on their roster right now. And it's not coming from the draft. Joe Douglas drafted Zach Wilson and a lot of other busts. Team looked as bad as ever. JD overrated, let's face it. I don't think the team is overrated, Joe. I think the team is solid. I think they don't have a quarterback. Sorry. We came into this year asking the question, what do they have in Zach Wilson? They don't have the guy. Dan says, screw arm talent. We need a quarterback who grinds out wins. You need someone who's competent, man. Mike White was competent. Utah Jet fan says, as an ex-Zach Wilson truther, I'm sick of him. Inexcusable game. Any chance of getting someone like Lamar Jackson? Love your content. Utah, thank you. I don't think Lamar's coming here. Tom Brady's more likely than Lamar Jackson. And I'm dead serious when I say that. Why wouldn't Tom Brady consider the Jets? Why? Tell me why. All 1,000 of you watching right now, why wouldn't Tom Brady consider the Jets? Running game, check. Offensive line, check. Coaching, check. Elite defense, check. Kind of sounds like the Bucs in 2020. Just saying. He was going to sign with the Dolphins if the NFL didn't step in with the tampering with him and Sean Payton. Why not come to the Jets? Just saying. All right? I'd rather try and go after Tom Brady than give Zach Wilson a year 3 because we got to see more, Jake. We got to see. No, we don't. No, we don't. And by the way, for those killing Douglas for the Wilson pick, Howie Roseman, who's one of the best GMs in the NFL, missed on Carson Wentz. All right, he drafted Jalen Hurts. What if Mike White comes back these next 2 games and plays well? Can we bring him back? Can we see more from White? Why not? If Mike White didn't get hurt, this is a playoff team. I really believe that. Alex writes in, Lawson and JFM invisible. Cut both. They make way too much. Zero impact. Also, Mosley cannot move. It's robbery. He made the Pro Bowl over Reed. Reed should have been a Pro Bowler. I got to watch the film back to see what happened with Mosley. Once again, defense only allowed 19 points. I understand the frustration. This, to me, is way more on an offense that scored 3 points at home against a bad defense. I mean, that's just how I feel. Big fella says, give us Baker. Give me copious amounts of alcohol. Baker Mayfield is the Jet quarterback next year. No, thank you. Hennessy says, Saleh should have put Streveler in to help the run game. Saleh is never going to bash his players publicly. He's benched the 2nd overall pick twice in 3 weeks. Tells you all you need to know. Do not put any stock in what Robert Saleh says about Zach Wilson. All right? Go look at what Robert Saleh said about Sam Darnold when he became the head coach. Okay? It means nothing. Saleh is a player's coach. He's not going to bash anyone publicly. Zach Wilson's not the quarterback next year. I can promise you that. Young Kobe says, Elijah Moore tried to warn us. As bad as we didn't like how the message came out, Elijah Moore shouldn't have done what he done. The reality is this team needs a quarterback. He's not wrong there. David, you're up next on our post-game show. What's up, David?
Hey, can you hear me good?
I hear you, David. You're on.
Okay, well, first, I'm going to do this really quickly, but first, I want to apologize. As a fellow Texan, I know how hard it is to get to New York and MetLife, so I'm sorry you flew out on a loss. I flew out on the first Patriot loss. It sucks. I'm sorry I had to go through that, man. Second thing, I know Zach Wilson just played like an absolute trash can, but George Fant was really pissing me off. He's a complete glass cannon. He had a bunch of penalties that put a thorn in our side when we were actually getting pushes going. That really pissed me off. Third thing, the one time we're on national television, we played like the same old Jets. It just pissed me off so much. Love your content. Want to just keep it quick. That's it. Have a good night, man.
Hey, David, thank you, man. Yeah, it sucks, man. One primetime game and everyone, LOL Jets, same old Jets. Here's the thing. They're not the same old Jets. I know that's the easy answer. Tonight felt like it. They're not. This is a good football team. In the past, the Jets just get embarrassed on primetime. We talk about how the roster sucks. They need to fire the coach, fire the GM. I don't feel that way. I watched this game tonight, and I'm frustrated as hell that 19 points is considered a bad performance by the defense. They don't have a quarterback, man. And it sucks because I really thought Zach Wilson would pan out. I thought the flashes we saw last year would be able to be developed into more consistent quarterback play, and it just hasn't happened. Oh, even better. The rain's even starting to come down even harder now. This is going to be a hell of a drive back to Long Island. God, I hate MetLife Stadium. I love Jet fans. This stadium is the worst. Sean says, I believe in Mike White. I believe in Mike White playing the next 2 games, trying to have a winning season. I'll tell you that much. Corey says, I'm sorry, Jake, I was wrong about Zach. Here's $5. Corey, thank you, man. I think a lot of us were wrong about Zach. I was wrong about Zach. I'm not going to die on the ship, though. I got to defend him no matter what because he's the second pick in the draft. He's not the guy. It sucks, but he's not the guy. Bang says, Jake, never seen you go total 8 bleep drive safe. Thank you, Bang. I went nuts last week, too, but this is a whole different animal. Imagine sitting in the rain, watching your team in prime time score 3 points. That's what hell is like. Someone asked where my seats were tonight. I responded on Twitter, hell. Adam, you're up next on our post-game show. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, what's up, Jake? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're on, my friend. You're on.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm gonna get a little bit emotional here. My best friend just got married tonight, and he had a big celebration. And like halfway through the celebration, he gave me his grace to watch the Jets game, and I cannot believe that I took him up on that. Like, it was just a complete waste. I don't know. Like, I'm sick of it. Okay, I'm gonna calm myself for a little bit and just. I think I had over expectations due to the fact that we went 6-2 at one point, and I think in my head I kind of knew that like it was a little bit too good to be true to be where we were last year and that big of a jump this year. And I think we just proved that to be true tonight. We're not that good of a complete football team, as people have mentioned. Like, there are issues all over the place, but the things that like I saw in the game I was watching it from my iPhone. We have struggled all year long to set an edge. And like teams just run right by us, and it has to do with them nickel and diming us as far as like they'll nickel and dime us with passes, and then the quarterback will escape the pocket, go for 5-10 yards. And it just feels like we have no answer for it. But like in my mind, I'm just like, just set an edge. Like just put somebody there and like don't let him get around you. Like just do your job. And I feel like, man, why don't we do that? And then also ton of penalties, as we know, QB tossing it up. We know that. Another thing that I got really irritated with is after the game, Robert Saleh, they asked him questions about Zach Wilson and why did they take him out. And it just felt like Robert Saleh was completely lying to the media. It felt like all of his answer was a complete lie as far as like, oh, well, I didn't take Zach out because he was playing bad. I took Zach out due to the fact that Zebler or whatever his last name is, I don't even know because I'm a huge Mike White fan. I don't care the fourth.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for the call, man. Don't listen to anything Robert Saleh says publicly about Zach Wilson. He's not going to bash him publicly. He benched him. He didn't bench him because they wanted to get the running game going. He benched him because Zach Wilson sucked. All right? He benched him because Zach Wilson sucked. That's what happened. I don't know how else to say it. Let me catch up on some super chats. I want to rapid fire through your calls. My computer battery's down to 39%, so we're going to go until my computer dies as I broadcast live from the most depressing sight of all time, a rainy, empty MetLife Stadium parking lot as the Jets season comes to an end because the second pick in the draft shit his pants on national television. Incredible. Let me see here. Super chat here from Felix. Thank you, Felix. He says, we need to release Lawson Davis, trade Zach for the same picks we got. I don't know what you're going to get for Zach. I do know he's not the guy. I think he needs a fresh start. It's time to move on. If he's here next year, I won't totally complain. He's under contract. He's not a bad guy. But he needs work. He's just – you can't put him out there. He's fundamentally flawed. Alex says, LaFleur can't scheme the run game without Brees. There's issues with LaFleur. This offense moves way better with every other quarterback besides Zach Wilson. Let's focus on that before we just blame the offensive coordinator for everything. Green Empire Lawn Care says, Strebler would make one hell of a fullback. He plays his ass off, man, but he's limited. All right, he's a fourth-string quarterback. The fact that he came in and looked light years better with this offense than the second pick in the draft did, 21 starts into his career, is sad. Evan says, why is everyone scared to compliment Mike White? I'm 27 years old, and I've never seen a quarterback run the offense as effectively as Mike. I don't get it either, Evan. Look, I'm not anointing him as Tom Brady like some idiots in our fan base have. But he's solid, man. And he's tough as you know what. And he's earned the opportunity to play these last two games, and let's see what he can do. John says, Chris Sims punching air right now. I don't want to hear Chris Sims try and explain this. I like Chris personally. I've interviewed him on my show before. Enough. All right? Your guy stinks. Maybe he could eventually be good. All right, Geno Smith 10 years later made his first Pro Bowl. We'll see you in 10 days, Geno. My God. Remember there was some thought about getting that game flexed to primetime? Anyone want to watch the Jets in primetime after this garbage tonight? Pierce says, defense is getting a lot of flack alongside Zach Wilson, but they're constantly on the field. That's not coaching. That's being grinded down. Look, there's issues with this defense. They're not perfect. But I'm sorry. They gave up 19 points. 19 points. They're on the field the whole game. This is on the quarterback. Enough. It's on the quarterback. Back to your calls we go. BX Trilla, you're up next on our postgame show. What's up, BX?
Jake, what's up, man? Hopefully this is Zach Wilson last game this season that's starting. We got to evaluate Mike White the next 3 games just to see like if he can be, a competent quarterback for us next season. Going into the offseason, I don't see why we won't, hit up the Lions for Jared Goff. Maybe with them having a high pick, maybe they go, after one of the 2 quarterbacks that's coming out next year, and maybe they just give up Jared Goff. He's a veteran I would want to see more than Jimmy Garoppolo, because we just need a competent quarterback right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We shouldn't even be in this position. The 2 Patriots games could have been won by fucking Purdy. Excuse my language. Purdy could have won those games for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's mind-boggling. But why didn't we take Justin Fields, man? I listen. Even though I know Fields run a lot, but if you give Justin Fields right now, Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore over there, and with the way Fields runs, at least he gives the team a chance. You know what I mean? That's like point blank. Like,
BX, thanks for the call, man. I can't argue with her. I mean, I can't argue with her. I mean, I've tried to defend Zach Wilson, to give him time, be patient. Fields is playing better than him right now. I don't know if Fields is ever going to be the long-term guy, but, like, man, your first point about Goff, I wouldn't hate Goff and Mike White, let's say. I don't know. I think the Lions might retain Goff and try and trade back with their draft pick and get a huge haul. I think they like what Goff's done this year. They might make the playoffs with Goff. They're really going to move off the guy after he leads them to the playoffs. We'll see about that. Anthony says, Zach can't read a pop-up book. He's a child that wants to play backyard football that does not fly in the NFL. He's fundamentally broken right now. His confidence is shot. I watched it. I watched the happy feet. I watched him just not willing to pull the trigger. The film tomorrow when I get up is going to be a nightmare to watch back. Oh, my God. There were guys open tonight, I'm pretty sure. He didn't pull the trigger. I know the O-line was not great. There were still plays. He even admitted there were plays after the game. Dylan says, cut Zach Wilson, Fant, Tomlinson. Let me talk about George Fant. He sucks, all right? Not the reason why they lost, ultimately. He stinks. He's playing hurt, so I don't want to totally kill him. He's not the guy. They need 2 new tackles next year. Hopefully Becton can come back. You can't count on him. Fant's gone. You know, Max Mitchell's a nice player. They need to draft a tackle and sign a tackle in free agency. That's the plan for the Jets, all right? You want to put AVT at one of your tackle spots? I'll listen to that, but I feel like you really want him at guard, where he could be an all-pro guard. And him and Breece Hall next year are going to be nasty. EJ says, been a big Zach defender, but after tonight, I'm done. The floor's offense doesn't work when run gets stuffed. Zach's useless in inclement weather. At least he didn't complain about the wind tonight in this postgame. Green Empire Lawn Care says, Strebler would make one hell of a fullback. That guy's a train, and Zach looks like he's playing in quicksand. Look, shout out to Strebler, man. He battles. He plays his ass off. We know what he is. He's a 4th-string quarterback. It's an awesome story. It was that first drive was awesome. Gave the crowd some juice. They got absolutely hosed by the officiating. But enough said. Back to your calls we go. Jets Johnny, you're up next year. Phone battery, computer battery's down to 30%. Jets Johnny, bring it.
Jake, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Man, I'm as shitty as I think I've ever been, Jets Johnny. But I'm better now that you're on the phone.
I appreciate that, Jake. I was gonna say it's pretty fitting that you're in a cold, wet, damp, empty parking lot after this game, because I think that's how we all feel inside. It's just sad. Everybody's talking about quarterbacks for next year. Obviously, one name I haven't seen brought up is Geno Smith. He's an unrestricted free agent. Why not bring back Geno Smith, Mike White? And I don't think you get rid of Zach Wilson. There's no point. You still got him for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like under contract if you wanted him. So, or you can pick up the 5th year, but you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, I know they won't, but you know what I mean? Like maybe in that 4th year, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? There's no point of straight up cutting the 2nd overall pick after this year. Like it doesn't make any sense.
They'll trade him, or he's a backup to a backup next year. There's no scenario after tonight. The Jets are going with Zach Wilson, and he's the guy going into week 1.
Definitely 3rd. If they keep him, definitely 3rd string, bottom barrel. I like bringing back Mike White, and then I don't know, Geno Smith. The defense, again, like you said, they gave up 19 points, man. Look at all these games. Every defense giving up 30, 20 points. So
the Jaguars are a good team. Like the Jets defense, they were not perfect tonight. Yes, it would have been nice if, maybe they were able to stop some of those runs. I don't know, man. Obviously I'm watching the game in person. And Jets Johnny, thank you for the call, my friend. I didn't see, obviously, like every vantage point, every angle. Trevor Lawrence looked like he made some pretty tough plays on this defense too, and they still held him to 19 points. If the standard for the Jets, who were 32nd in defense a year ago, is 19 points, is too many points, then we got major problems, man. They scored 3 points at home in prime time. They're a joke, all right? This offense is a joke. It starts with the quarterback, man. I can't kill the defense tonight. We're not doing it. All right, find a different show if you want to blame the Jet defense. They scored 3 points at home. We all sat in the rain and watched this offense score 3 points. They had chances to score with a fourth-string CFL quarterback. Oh, my God. Enough. Hawk, let me bring on Hawk. Jake, stop yelling. You look silly. Find a different show, buddy. All right? You don't like it? Find a different show. There's plenty of them out there. All right? How many are bringing you a postgame show live from the dump that is MetLife Stadium after they sat in the rain for 4 hours? Give me a break. Sorry I care about our football team. Indian Rider says, not a Jet fan, so no dog in the fight. It's in Zach Wilson's eyes. His ego's been hurt, and there's no coming back. Deep down, he still thinks nothing is his fault. I don't know if that's fair. Zach took accountability tonight. He did fine at the press conference. Who cares? You don't get points for that. He stunk. It's not personal with Zach Wilson. Nice kid. I hope he has success elsewhere. It's not going to be here. I'm sorry, it's not. Dan says, do you think Carr or Minshew would be a better fit? Yeah, anyone would. Carr, Minshew, Goff, Brady. Seriously, go through the list of veterans. Asman says, oh, Jake, what a god-awful game. I feel so bad. Oh, football gods, ZW sucks, and we're spinning the quarterback wheel once again. Football gods, bless us next, please. You want a positive? This team is a good football team at most of their positions. They just need to solve quarterback, and there's options to do it. That's the only positive, man. This is a good roster. They are. I know some of you don't want to hear it. You're depressed. Everything sucks. Same old. This is not the same old Jets. Same old Jets don't have the offensive, defensive rookie of the year on it. They need to find the quarterback. It sucks we got our answer on Zach Wilson because it's not the answer we wanted. But that's the reality. Craig says, this is Mike White's team. Players love it. It's his team for the next 2 games, assuming he's cleared, which I believe he will. When he's cleared, he plays, and we see what he could do. All right? I mean, I'm willing to give Mike White every opportunity here because I like him. I'm not going to anoint him as Tom Brady like some people in the fan base will, but I think he could be capable. Everyone talks about Jimmy G. What if Mike White making $15 million a year could be your version of Jimmy Garoppolo, who you're going to have to pay $35 million to next year? Why is that so crazy? Jimmy Garoppolo didn't start right away either. He sat behind Brady and eventually got his chance. Mike White bounced around a little bit, sat and learned. Look at him. Hudson Valley says, remember when we won against the Rams? JD, good job. Anyone blaming the Jets for winning that game? Oh, they cost themselves Trevor. They needed to go 0-16 that year. I'm not living in that world. I'm not living in that world. It is what it is. All right, the Jaguars won 1 damn game in 2020. The Jets won 2. Last year, the team that had the first pick in the draft won 3. It was a weird year. It sucks they didn't get Lawrence. I'm moving past that. The Jets are a better team than the Jaguars. I don't care if the Jaguars won tonight. You tell me the Jets had a competent quarterback tonight, which they will get this offseason. I think they have a chance to win this game tonight. I don't care about the Jaguars having Trevor Lawrence. It is what it is. I'm not reliving the last couple of years. I think this Jets roster is better, and they need to find the quarterback spot, period. Brian says, stop drafting quarterbacks outside the SEC. It doesn't. Who cares? The SEC, Pac-12, ACC. They took Sam Darnold. He was a Pac-12 quarterback. Didn't work out. Enough. I appreciate the super chat, Brian, but Zach Wilson being from BYU is not why he didn't pan out. All right, name me good Texas Tech quarterbacks for Patrick Mahomes or good Wyoming quarterbacks for Josh Allen. Where you went to school means nothing. Evaluate the player. All right, they got it wrong with Zach Wilson, but to defend the BYU program, Steve Young and Jim McMahon went to BYU. All right, enough. Zach Wilson's not a bust because he went to BYU. He's a bust because he's not a good quarterback. And I wish him well. I just don't think it's going to be with the Jets. Ricky, you're up next. Power is running low. We're at 20%, so I'm sorry to speed up the calls here, but we got a bunch of people patiently waiting, so we'll try and go rapid fire. Ricky, you're up next. What's up, Ricky?
Man, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. Every other week I call you and I say we're not the same old Jets, and lately it seems like we're doing same old Jet things. Meaningful game to the Patriots, and we give up a return on special teams with seconds left, and then we play the Lions, and on 4th and 1 we give up a 50-something yard touchdown to a tight end from No Name You, and I'm just fed up. Tonight I was just at the end. I was glad the game was over. If it had gone for one more minute, I wouldn't have been able to keep track of George Fant's penalties on one hand anymore. And Zach was bad. That's a fact. I'm not even going to touch on that. But I don't want to hear people handpicking one bad play by the defense and saying they didn't do their job. That defense has been great all year long. But, we got to play our opponent. Sometimes we're playing the rest too. But when every single drive, every single possession, you add in a 1st and 15, 1st and 20, I think one was 1st and 27, because there's just penalties. Like, you can't win games like that. The penalties were just killing us too. And, it makes me think like, a few years back, I remember one time I got on with like WFAN, and I was actually kind of sticking up for Todd Bowles. And I said, like, he's not out on the field. He's not playing. He's not the one out there making the mistakes. And it was during Bart Scott's show, and the lady on the show with him said, well, you know what? When you're talking about penalties, that comes down to discipline, and that is on coaching. So it actually is his fault. And, it kind of put me in my place. And I think that Sal is a great coach. I think we finally found the coach that will take us somewhere. However, I got to put that on him. The lack of discipline, the pre-snap penalties. My God, they kill us. I mean, I don't think we had a single possession tonight that didn't have some penalty.
Ricky, good call, man. I'm sorry to cut you off there. You're right. Look, the penalties are a problem. They had way too many tonight. You're not wrong. There's bigger issues, though. There's bigger issues. You're not wrong. The coaching was frustrating tonight with the penalties. Some of it's on the players, though. Pre-snap penalties, these guys don't know where to line up. George Fant's a mess, man. I know he's hurt. It's tough to totally kill him, but he's gone. He's a stiff. He's not playing well. He had a great year last year. He is not having a good year. Joel, Super Chat. Thank you, Joel. We need better safety play when the defense has made more than enough stops all season. We need stronger safeties. Whitehead and Joyner play well, for they're not scaring opponents and steal the edge. The defense is not perfect. It's not. But they were 32nd in the NFL a year ago. They're 3rd right now. I can't kill them. They have made remarkable improvements in one season. Give Joe Douglas another draft and another free agency, another year of Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed together, and they're going to be good. They are. They're not perfect yet. But this team allowed 19 points tonight. This defense. Dan says 11, thanks, 20 points or less, 7-4 in those games, 0-3 in last 3. They're just not scoring. Joel, I see we got to your super chat. Thank you. Let me try and get some more calls here. Power update down to 14%. Please keep the calls quick. Fire off your takes and we'll move on. Jorge, you're up next, my guy. Jorge, what's going on?
Hey, Jake, what a mess, man.
Brutal.
What a goddamn mess. Like, this is everybody that throws excuses on one way. Like, listen, at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that people say about quarterbacks is they cover a lot of stinks. They cover a lot of your holes everywhere because that's what quarterbacks do. If you got a good one, you can do a lot of things, even if you don't have the best team around you. Well, guess what? We have a freaking excellent team. And our quarterback sucks, and there it is. 3 points. 3 points, man. Like that's
it.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing. I'm sitting here alone, and I'm like, fuck, I'm embarrassed. Like I'm closing my eyes. It's like national TV. Everybody's watching. Like I'm in Chicago. I live in Chicago, and I go to a Jets bar on Sundays. Not tonight, but I'm like, man, like this sucks. And
horrible.
All the worst offensive showings have been with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, but whatever. I don't care about Joe. Everybody else, though, does well. So clearly it's Zach Wilson, and I want Zach Wilson to work. Like I do, because I want the Jets to win. Not because I love Zach Wilson. I just want the Jets to freaking win. The kid's not it. Maybe he will be. Maybe, I don't know, but he's not it. Not today. Not tomorrow, not the rest of the season, and I doubt next year either. So we got to go a different route. So I hope Joe Douglas is working something out because we need a quarterback. We have a team. We need a quarterback.
Yeah, Jorge, good call, man. You're right. Yeah, you're spot on, man. You're spot on. I just got the alert. Well, I told you this computer is tough. We're at 10%, so we're gonna maybe just try and get to the remaining super chats here before we wrap up. I don't want this thing to die while I'm on the air and people wonder what happened. Jorge is spot on, man. There's a lot of issues with this game tonight. The biggest issue is quarterback. They scored 3 points. Enough. I know the penalties were bad. We want to say Solid didn't go to Schrebler. They scored 3 points. And you know what? There's no big mystery on what happened with the Jets at the quarterback spot. If Mike White was healthy, he'd be playing right now. When the Jets benched Zach Wilson and the truther said he's 5-2, what are you doing? They saw this coming. They knew the way that Zach was playing was not sustainable. It's unfortunate, but that's where they were at. And that's why they had to make this move. And ultimately, Mike White getting hurt is the reason why they're going to miss the postseason. Because I believe if he's healthy, they certainly win one of these last two games. And you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. You're just not. I mean, this was awful. Awful. The Jet fan that watched this game tonight, the Jet fan that was there in person, deserves better. Better. This is a team that has a lot of good players on it. And they just don't have the answer at quarterback right now. The guy who might be the answer, at least for this year, competent enough to win you some games and get to the playoffs, is hurt. He's got busted ribs. When Mike White is healthy, he starts the last two games, period. Period. I don't know how there's any other argument for anything else. That's it. When Mike White is healthy, he starts the last two games. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right, one last call. I apologize. We're not going to be able to get to everyone just because of my computer battery crashing out. But Alex, you're our final caller. Sorry to Alex from DC, the Iceman, Max Sports Tech. You guys are great. Zach, appreciate you guys for being on hold. But the technology in my car, there's no outlet to plug in my charger. So, Alex, you're our final phone call. What's up, Alex?
Jake, how's it going? Just a brutal night. I'm going to say it because I think a lot of people are thinking it. I mean, it's just clear Zach is a bust to this point here. Maybe he'll figure it out as well, because we all said Gino was a bust here, which he was, and he's, to his credit, he's figured it out in Seattle. Maybe 5-10 years from now, Zach will figure it out and another team. But I don't think there's really a way you can even have him on the team next year, to be honest. Like he just like I'm even saying it's a third string. Like I think you just have to move on after this offseason, eat the dead cap. Like this is one of those situations that calls for it. I'm not going to get on the defense too much. I thought the O-line was horrendous. I thought LaFleur, to be honest, LaFleur has not been coaching well for weeks now. It's been like, this has been a steady trend, and I think they're going to need to figure that out with him. But look, JD, he has the offensive and defensive rookie of the years in the roster. He did a great job this offseason. He needs to get this next quarterback right. Whoever the quarterback is next year, he needs to get that correct, because he's going to
define his tenure, Alex. You're absolutely right. Good call. It will define his tenure. The decision that Joe Douglas makes at quarterback this offseason, whether it's White and a veteran, whether I don't think there's any chance of this, but it's, we're going to bring in Zach and develop him and have Zach come. What Joe Douglas decides to do going into what will be his fifth year as the GM of the team, fourth full year to have a draft and free agency, will decide his tenure, because it is playoffs or bust for the Jets next year. They should have made the playoffs this year. That's what sucks. They wasted a top three defense. They wasted an offense that has enough talent to win, because unfortunately the second pick in the draft, 21 starts into his career, just hasn't improved. For all you Zach Wilson truthers, lowest passer rating in the NFL this season, Zach Wilson. Lowest completion percentage in the NFL this season, Zach Wilson. Lowest passer rating in the NFL last season, Zach Wilson. Lowest completion percentage in the NFL last season, Zach Wilson. He's not the guy. I hate saying it. I don't feel good saying it. He's not the guy. He scored 3 points at home tonight against a bad defense. That's it. Sucks. This was one of the worst sporting events I've ever watched. Super chat here, and then my power's at 2%, so we're nearing the end here. Story says the coaching sucks. Zach beat the Packers and the Bills. They benched him, ruined his career. Zach is done. Defense is overrated. The coaching doesn't suck, Story. The quarterback does. Zach did not beat the Packers. He threw 10 passes in that game and had 110 yards. He played decent against the Bills. He had 150 yards. You don't know football. I appreciate the super chat. I'll Venmo you back the $5 if you want it. That's just not true. Defense is not overrated. The defense is not the best in the NFL like we thought maybe it was. They're very good. And they're not the reason why they lost tonight. They gave up 19 points. The offense scored 3. They didn't even score 3. The defense gave them 3 because of the field position, and then Zerline hit a field goal. That's it. Enough. I want to thank you all for watching. This was an awful post-game show, but the calls were great. Super chats were awesome. Thank you all for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new. We talk Jets every day. We'll have a show tomorrow. We'll have shows this weekend. I mean, I'm just depressed, as you all are. Thank you all. Hit the like button on your way out of here. Reminder, I'm on Patreon. If you want to get the show as a podcast plus exclusive podcast every month, go to patreon.com/The Jake Asman Show. Looking forward to growing the Patreon, and we got some merch ideas coming through. Merch store launching hopefully soon. You'll get discounts on all the merch as well. I'm headed back to Long Island as I leave the world's biggest AC unit here at MetLife Stadium. Thank you all. Brutal, but I appreciate the support. Talk to you guys tomorrow on YouTube. See ya.